What's up, NBA fans? This is DeAndre Chapman from NBARanks.wordpress.com, where we give you great ranks analysis and give you a chance to give your take and debate. Now, all year in the NBA, there have been whispers about other MVP candidates, but we all know there's been one front runner, and that man is Stephen Curry. So today I'm going to take you through a few plays involving the pick and roll, which is a play in basketball where a player sets a screen for a teammate handling the ball and then slips behind the defender or rolls to accept a pass. Now, you don't always have to roll when you set that pick. The big guy can, let's say, pop out. If you have like a stretch four or you have a center that can shoot threes, you don't necessarily have to roll. You could stretch out and, spread the floor a little bit. But I'm going to take you through a couple of ways people tried to guard their pick and roll with Stephen Curry. And I'm going to show you how he makes his teammates better, all based upon his shooting ability and the fact that he's just a great playmaker because he's put in a position where he can make easy plays. And I say he can make easy plays because of his shooting ability. Now, first thing we're going to watch here is a 1-2 pick and roll, we'll call it. It's going to be with 1 and 2. Stephen Curry being the 1, the point guard. Klay being the 2, the shooting guard. And what happens here is Klay is going to set a screen for Steph, and Andrew Wiggins is going to go under. Now, if you go under a pick and roll, that means you're essentially trying to go behind it, and you're going to give the point guard going over a window to shoot the basketball. Now, this point guard that you're given a window, if you use this strategy, just happens to be the greatest shooter ever. So that's a big no-no. I'm going to show you the mistake that the Wolves make right here. Okay, so we see Steph with the ball. We see Klay coming over. Sets the screen. And look at that. Andrew is all the way under here. And Steph is already about to shoot. He knows that Andrew is playing way too far off. This is a solid, hard screen set on Andre Miller, who can't really do much about getting around it or anything like that because Wiggins is supposed to be way further up. Wiggins should be at least right here or, in Steph's face. So that way Steph has to turn the corner and dribble a little bit more, maybe pass it back out, but he's too far away. So Steph just pulls it, and we know that's bottom. Now, we're going to look at a couple of more plays with a couple of other teams. We're going to see different strategies against the pick and roll as well before I show you another person going under the screen. Now, here we're going to see Steph going against the Mavericks. And Draymond is going to set a screen for Steph. And now what happens is he sets this screen up really high in the middle of the floor. Now, when you set a screen, I'm going to talk about this a little bit more later. Now, when you set that screen in the middle of the floor, it works very well because you have a lot of space to operate. The middle of the floor is very important. You can see everything. You go to either side. You have a lot of space to operate. Now, we're going to watch him against the Mavericks here. He's getting the ball. He's dribbling it up. We're going to watch Draymond. Look at Draymond right here. Comes. Sets the screen. Now, this is not a traditional screen, but, what he does is he gets in front of Raymond Felton. And so Steph is already about to head to the spot. Now, the guy that's supposed to be guarding Draymond here, we're not even sure whether this is Parsons or whether it's Dirk, because it's a sort of transition. So you kind of scramble in transition. Transition rules are to get the guy closest to you. You know what I mean? And you're not accustomed to someone setting a screen up this high. But Stephen Curry's range is so far that they can set the screen up this high. So the screen is set. And look how far back Chandler Parsons is. Obviously, Chandler was checking Dre. So what happens is Chandler is just way too far back. He's under. And he's not over the top. Just like I explained in the other video. You want to be at least up here. So that way Steph has to turn the corner. They have to run another set. You don't want to give them all of this room because what's going to happen there? Well, that's a shot. And that's good. Always. Now, here's another strategy teams try to use against the Warriors. And what they do is they switch on the pick and roll. So the switch to pick and roll basically says, okay, here we have Chris Paul guarding Stephen Curry, all right? Now, what happens is when Draymond sets this screen, Chris Paul is going to guard Draymond Green, and DeAndre Jordan is going to guard Stephen Curry. So if we look here, we'll see that. Okay, so here's the switch. Now, you got Stephen Curry, and he's being guarded by DeAndre Jordan. This is a clear mismatch. But what happens is, if you switch it, you can avoid going under and then causing Steph to just shoot over the top. But the thing about it is, it's still a mismatch because you got a five, you got a center on Stephen Curry. And when he gets a center on him, well, then he can just dance and have a little bit of fun because you're not going to guard him if you're 7 feet tall. Well, he dances here. He has a little bit of fun. Oh, wait, I'm going this way. Don't stumble. I'm coming back now. Oh, there we go. Shot. Now, we've seen a lot of teams try to play the Warriors this way. You know what I mean? And what happens, too, is if Steph decides he's not going to take the five off the dribble or he's not going to, dance and shoot it on him like that, what happens is the Warriors are very good at understanding that they have another mismatch. Remember, I said it's a switch. So what happens is Draymond Green is being guarded by Chris Paul. So sometimes what happens is Draymond Green will post up Chris Paul, and then help has to come because Chris Paul is too little. You have that little guy on the big now. Or what happens is they get into some of their actions and plays that they have when they have Draymond in the post. And it's just a very valuable thing when you get those switches. It works for the Warriors as well because they have actions. They're prepared for things like this. Now, here is another example of a pick and roll with Stephen Curry and Draymond Green. Now, this is something a lot of teams do, and this is what makes the Warriors such a great team. This is what makes Stephen Curry so valuable. I understand the flash. I understand the shooting ability, which is why most of this happens. I understand the handles, the crossover, the passing. I mean, just the deep shots he takes. It's amazing. But when it comes to making your teams better, what he does is he draws double teams like no one else in the NBA. And he draws them at spots that are perfect, like the middle of the floor or the top of the key, which is this area right here. Now, what happens is we're going to see Draymond set the pick on Jrue Holiday. And then what you're going to see is you're going to see Jrue and Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is guarding Draymond. You're going to see Jrue and AD. They're going to follow Stephen Curry, which is going to leave Draymond Green open. So we're going to just get to that. See here? Screen is set. Now, this is a solid screen. Jrue tries to fight over it a little bit. Now, you see, you have Anthony Davis right here on Steph. You have Jrue Holiday coming around. He's worried about Steph. Yeah, Draymond is like, he's on Draymond, but he's worried about Steph here. And if you can see, Stephen Curry is already about the IQ on this man is very important, just as important as the shooting. He's already about to pass it to Draymond because he knows, okay, they're trapping me, so I'm going to get the ball out. And with this trapping method, what the Warriors do, what Stephen Curry does, again, more than anyone else in the NBA, I'm going to teach you something really valuable here. He creates 4-on-3s. What I mean by 4-on-3s is that the offense now has 4 players involved in an action, while the defense only has 3. So they have the advantage. And this is key. This is why star players are so important. You have LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant. I mean, big guys like even Shaq in the day. You had to double them. They create mismatches. They create the advantage for their team. Now here we got AD, Jrue Holiday. Like I said, they're worried about Steph. So now we have Draymond, who is now basically wide open. Now, this is what I mean by 4-on-3s. These two, they were over here with Steph. They're not going to be able to get back here in time. So you have 1, 2. You have Clay over here. You have Harrison Barnes over here. That's 4. 1, 2, 3. These 3 guys can't guard all 4 of these guys. Now, what happens is Clay, he's cutting through. You would like him to be a little bit more spaced out. But even though, this is still going to work, and I'm going to show you why. A big thing to remember here is whether it's Harrison Barnes, which is over here, or sometimes it's Iguodala, or whoever they have in at small forward, you can almost get an open corner 3 every play with the Warriors if you trap the pick and roll. And then Draymond Green, him right here, he's so valuable because he's a power forward that can shoot, dribble, and he's a playmaker. So he can make passes as well. Now, if you watch right here, you got Cunningham. He comes over. He's coming over a bit. It's going to be too late, but he's coming over. And what happens is HB is wide open. So Draymond could pass this to Harrison Barnes if he wants. That's an open three. I mean, sometimes this is Clay over here. This is all started by what I showed you a little bit earlier about how these two, 1 and 2, had to double Steph and Curry. This is what makes this team so difficult to defeat. It's almost an open shot every time. Or if you switch the pick and roll, well, then you got to live with a big guy on him. If you go under it, well, that's a 3 every time. You could try to go over the top, but in today's NBA, I mean, you're probably going to get a foul called on you. Just very difficult. But here we're going to watch what Draymond does. See, he gets it. Now he's going to go for the shot. But look at HB here. If he wanted to, he could have did that. They could maybe roll it back out, start another play. But, I mean, he can just go for the shot. And, that's easy because he can finish as well. So it's very difficult to guard this Warriors team. So when you hear someone say, oh, well, Steph's just a great shooter. That's all he is. He doesn't really make his team better. What are they talking about? He does make his team better by default because you have to double him. This is how so many greats made their teams better. You have to double them, and it is just mismatches spread across the floor. Creates a calamity sometimes, too. With all the switching can get confusing. If Steph's coming off of down screens, floppies, or something like that, then you're trying to switch that, and it just gets really confusing. This is how Stephen Curry makes his team better. This is why he's the MVP. He's the best player in the NBA. He's going to win his second straight MVP. And how I rank these things I rank them on, I like the scoring ability. I like how they make their team better. And I feel that those are very two important things when you want to look at who you want to name MVP. Maybe you have something different. Maybe you have something different you want to show me. That'd be great. But that's all for today, guys. Remember, this is NBAranks.wordpress.com. We give you great ranks analysis, give you a chance to give your take and debate. See you later, guys.